morning, David Blaustein.
Good morning, McGraw. Is Kelly there with you?
Oh, she's here.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
If you're like me, you're trying to figure out how the Mets are going to blow this 4-game lead between now and the end of the season.
No, I'm optimistic.
Really?
I'm here to tell you. I even know their magic number is 39.
All right, fair enough.
But yes, there is that little pessimistic Mets fan inside of me. Actually, not so little, very big, as is inside of all Met fans. That does believe they will blow it. I mean, but they shouldn't. I don't think they're going to. They haven't had a pitching staff like this for years. I think maybe the thing is Noah Syndergaard should probably just pitch at home. They'll get Steve Matz back soon. He's doing okay in the minors and in his rehabbing. The thing is, I don't really know if they need David Wright back.
All right, yeah. Okay.
Have him around on the bench.
Okay.
I guess maybe a start or two, but
right.
I don't know if anything positive will come of that.
It's that water in Westchester that's getting to your brain or something. I don't know.
Why is that?
Well, they don't need David Wright.
David Wright is in his rehab assignments right now. Has played limited, and he has like 3 or 4 errors. He might be a liability, McGraw. I'm telling you.
Give the guy a chance. All right. By the way, I saw Straight Outta Compton last week on your recommendation.
Right.
I loved it.
Of course you did.
And you were exactly right. It was a very, very, very good movie. It was not great, but it was very good. But it was just like Jersey Boys and Ray Charles movie and the Buddy Holly story. It was just a great biopic about a guys who started a band.
Yes, and it was sanitized.
Okay.
And that's been after I said that, not that I had anything to do with it, but well documented this past week, especially after Dee Barnes, the hip-hop journalist who Dr. Dre beat up, penned a terrific piece, really a jaw-dropping piece for Gawker that I recommend everybody read, chronicling how Dr. Dre beat her up and what took place, and Dr. Dre admitting that he did that.
Right.
In Rolling Stone in 1991, and then even more recently in Rolling Stone, essentially apologizing and saying, he did some terrible things, and some of the allegations are true, and some of them are not. And then you had one of his ex-girlfriends also sitting down for an interview talking about how Dr. Dre beat her up, and Dee Barnes also talking about how he beat her up, and he's not denying it. He was a despicable guy back in the day, and they really glossed that over. It did just come out also that apparently in the original script there was a scene depicting him beating up Dee Barnes, but they cut it out of the script. I think that should have been in there, but that does not detract from the fact that this is a really well-executed movie and just terrific storytelling. Yeah,
no, I thought your critique was spot on, but I still like the movie anyway, which you did too, though.
Yeah.
Let's move on. We got a couple movies. What's the first one? What's the big one opening up this weekend?
Well, there are a couple, and there's also a horror movie coming out this weekend. We won't talk about it because I didn't see it, but that has most horror movies these days are pretty much the same. That might not be a fair criticism. I don't know. I didn't see it, so I should stop talking about that. Let's go with Hitman, Agent 47, and this is the second attempt at making a movie based on that particular video game, the Hitman video game, which is wildly successful. The first movie really didn't do great. It wasn't a failure business-wide. It did make its money back. It only made about $40 million here, $100 million worldwide, and again, that was a movie that cost $25 million to make, so good business decision. It did not ignite a franchise like they were hoping. I imagine when they endeavored to make this movie that they thought it might start a franchise, and who knows? It probably won't, and it shouldn't. It feels like it's written by a 10-year-old who plays too many video games. That's essentially what this movie is. But both of the movies I'm going to discuss, American Ultra, the same thing. These are born kind of the same idea that the government developed this secret program to create these unbelievable, incredible assassins. And both those programs went wrong. And so I'll tell you that Hitman Agent 47 is 2 out of 5 stars, and let's not really worry about that. Let's talk about American Ultra, which is a much better movie starring Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg plays a stoner in a small town who is just so full of anxiety and just anxious, and has a girlfriend named Phoebe, played by Kristen Stewart. These two have been together before. They were in a movie called Adventureland in 2009, which I think is a really underrated movie. Kristen Stewart, to me, is an underrated actress. A lot of people judge her because of the Twilight movies. That was not her fault. That was a character that was wooden, and it was written that way, and she just played it the way it was written. Every time she's in a movie that hasn't been a Twilight movie, she's just shown to me that she's not just a good actress, she's a great actress, and maybe one day might get nominated for an Oscar and could win an Oscar one day. Jesse Eisenberg already has been nominated for an Oscar, and what he doesn't know is that he is a lethally trained assassin, and he just goes seamlessly, once he's activated, from being that stoner to that lethal assassin, and it's so much fun to watch. He's a lot of fun to watch. My major complaint about this movie is it's way too violent. It doesn't need to be as violent as it is. Some of the other characters are also very arch, detracting from, I think, Jesse's performance and Kristen's performance. But again, that doesn't make it a bad movie, because it's not. It's a very solid movie, 3.5 out of 5 stars.
All right, there you go. While we still have you, what's the story about Jon Stewart wanting to moderate a presidential debate?
Well, nobody said that he wants to moderate a presidential debate. People want him to moderate a presidential debate, and there is a petition on change.org, and I think it now is approaching about 150,000 signatures. People who, this is aimed at the debate committee, and they want Jon Stewart to moderate a presidential debate, and I don't really see Jon Stewart doing it unless he can turn it into a comedy special.
Right.
Jon Stewart, I think, is only interested in doing things. Maybe he'll make a dramatic movie with comedic undertones, but I cannot envision him doing something that's serious. That doesn't mean it won't happen. It very well could, but I also have a hard time believing you would have any Republican or conservative candidate agree to participate in a debate that's moderated by Jon Stewart, even though I believe he would be extremely fair.
It would be great. It'd be great television. But you're right. There's not a candidate, Republican or Democrat, who would allow themselves to be put under that microscope.
No, Jon Stewart's a incredibly quick, intellectual guy, and I actually do think he's very fair and open-minded, and I think great comedians, and he's a great comedian. They need to be. That doesn't mean he's always funny. Sometimes there's a joke and he misses. I'd say he's probably got like a 350, 400 batting average when it comes to jokes, but and that's great, as we know, being baseball fans. Anybody with that batting average is terrific. But he is again. I don't think he would agree to do something like that unless it was some sort of comedy special.
David Blaustein, have yourself a good week. We'll talk to you next Friday. Thanks.